Is your pizza dough just the worst? Pick it all up, you cut off a piece, you go to stretch it, you pull it out as far as you can get it, and it just springs right back. So now you start working it back into a ball, and it's getting tougher and tougher, and it looks like it has little holes in it, and you pull it apart now, and it's just sheety, and it's sheety. Don't you worry anymore. No more crappy dough ruining the pizza party. We're gonna plan ahead, but I'm gonna show you how you can actually, within the same day, get some pretty workable dough with a little bit of patience, following a few steps. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name's Jason. This is JTV Life. If you're new, please subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single video. I make a lot of pizza videos if that's how you found me. I do a lot of other stuff too. Pretty random. Just watch the ones you want to watch. Check out the affiliate links below, and please always like and in the comments let me know what you want to see. This was actually a video that I got inspired to make by someone in the comments that was saying they were having a hard time with their dough. So let's go ahead and get it done. Well, I hate to tell you folks, there is no secret recipe or any amount of money that can replace the most precious thing on earth, which is time. So we're gonna need some time. Let's get this dough ball back together, put it on the counter, and put a damp cloth over it for an hour. This step of the process is called bulk fermentation. And during this step, there's a few things that are gonna happen with our dough. First off is gluten development. This allows the glutens to relax and develop properly, and it really aids to the dough having a great crispy texture, but also very easy to work. During this process, our dough is going to completely hydrate. Flour is pretty dry, right? So this particular recipe is one that I made in a video a few weeks ago. I'll throw a card up here for it. It's a simple 62% hydration, so we got 62% water, but it's not all in that flour immediately. So that's why when you pull it, when you kind of just don't let your dough rest, you get that real sheety look to it. It's because you got little clumps of dry flour, little clumps of wet flour in there. So that full-on rehydration is definitely a major, major perk to letting your dough rest. Finally, fermentation is going to begin. And when this happens, the yeast consume the starches and sugars in your dough, and they create carbon dioxide, which is little tiny bubbles. And that's what causes the dough to rise, is these little bubbles developing in there. Also, when this yeast is fermenting and chewing on this stuff, it's almost pre-digesting in a way the dough, which is going to make it a little bit easier on your stomach when you eat, and it's also not going to have that super floury green flavor. After our dough was done, I divided it up into 4 balls. I didn't even really measure it, just 4 equal balls. And we're going to do a little bit of experimentation here. I rolled out the balls and I left 2 on the counter, and I put 2 in the fridge. The ones I left on the counter, I'm gonna let one sit for an additional hour, and we'll go ahead and bake a pie with it. The next one I'll let set for another hour after that, so we'll see what one with 2 hours on the counter does. And the third one we're gonna leave in the fridge until the following day. We'll take it out, leave it on the counter for 2 hours, and cook a pie. This is gonna be a pretty cool adventure, guys. Let's go. Hour has passed, and we're gonna go ahead and start working our first piece of dough. Guys, I'll tell you, if you're new to this or you're having troubles, flour is your friend. You got to use a lot of flour, okay? That's baking in general. So just fill up a big old bowl, flap this thing around in there. Get it nice and covered in flour. Get some on the counter. Also, a steel counter like this really helps, or maybe something made out of stone, more so than a counter in a house. But you know, you can work with what you got if you have flour, guys. Cavemen did this. I'm gonna work these pies kind of a little bit more like a New York style, so that way it's got kind of like a defined crust on the outside and then a little bit thinner and crispier on the middle, so that way we can kind of get them consistent and not really stress about popping those little bubbles for the Neapolitan style and all of that. Also, I want to test this recipe inside of an electric oven, so hang in there and you'll get to see that. After you get your crust line formed by pushing your fingers and rotating it, now we're gonna kind of slowly work some of that dough mass from the center to that outer kind of 1/3 ring of the pizza shell. We'll find at this step the dough is very workable, especially if you've had trouble in the past. You're probably having a pizza epiphany now. It's all right. Don't overdo it. Don't get too rough with this new dough now, all right? We're just gonna let gravity do the work, putting our fingers in between it and sort of just slowly separating it as we rotate it. Guys, I'm just gonna stop talking now and do this in real time so that way you can really see what's going on here. We gotta prepare a peel. Guys, I'm telling you, if you're new to this or old to this, do a wood peel. This is gonna be the easiest one for me to launch. They're typically cheaper than the metal ones, and you can recover with this too. So if you just only really can afford one or have the space for one, go with a wood one. Also, you wanna use a lot of flour or semolina, or like I'm gonna be using today is a little bit of cornmeal. I'm using the cornmeal because I'm using an electric oven today. The bottom of the, like a bighorn oven or one of the wood pellet ovens, I think it gets kind of hot and it burns it up. But in the electric oven, it makes it really kind of nice and crisp on the bottom. It's pretty cool. Like I said, today we're gonna be using my Vevor oven. I picked this thing up probably 2 years ago and I haven't even done a review of it. I need to get around to that. Let me know down in the comments if that's something you want to see. We got the bottom deck set to 350 and the upper is set to, I want to say 300. And that's in Celsius. I'm not even sure what that is in Fahrenheit because like I said, man, we are scientists and we're not really going for certain numbers. We're going for a result. And that was the numbers I happened to land on. And I'm pretty sure scientists use metric anyways. So whatever. 350 on the bottom. 300 on the top. All right, let's dress up this za. Don't forget, guys, not too many toppings, all right? Less is more. Focus on getting it as even as possible. When you look at this pie before I put it in the oven, you're gonna be like, man, that's like some weak shit right there, Jay. No, wait till it comes out. And also when you're doing this, focus on getting more cheese and sauce in that outer ring, okay? Reason being, first off, it's gonna run down, all right? So you want to start at the end. It's kind of like when you're twisting a J, you put more in the center. If you guys back from the carbon days. Get it now. And also, you want to have more sauce and cheese up where the crust is thicker, so it's not all dry. And you want to be able to pick your piece up with that nice little tip, and it's not dangling or sliding its whole piece of cheese off, right? That sucks. These pizzas ended up taking about 7 minutes and I've rotated them 180 degrees about 4 minutes in each. Let's go ahead and pull this one out and see what it looks like. This pie came out very crispy, very firm, no flex to it, but I think it came out about as good as it could be for being as green as a pizza could be. This was probably about an hour and 20 minutes of the dough, till it got formed to a ball and then an hour rest. So it's only 2.5 hours old, if. What you want to do ASAP is you want to go ahead and get your pizza pies onto a grate to cool it. Reason being is you don't want the bottom of the pizza to steam, all right? I make a little ghetto ratchet one with the little trays out of my air fryer. Flip a couple of these little 5-ounce souffle cups on there. Bam, cooling rack, guys. Souffle cups are the zip tie of the kitchen. Look in the description below, get you some. You can do anything you want with them, really. Well, anything that you can do with plastic. This side did have some air pocket development, but the overall texture was still very sheety and kind of green tasting. The taste of it to me was kind of more like a fresh donut, sort of pastry, fresh flour, airy taste, than it was like a pizza dough kind of flavor. I mean, you could pass this off as pizza, guys, but it's just not quite there, and that's what I'm trying to get you guys inspired to do, is to wait. Just freaking wait. Guys, pie number 2, I'm just gonna STFU and do it in real time, guys. You can really tell at this point how much more malleable and less sort of springy backy this dough is. First thing I've noticed about this second pie is the color and the definition. It doesn't have that kind of like over toasted tan mom look that the first one had. The crust line was a lot more defined. It was more in line with what you would get at a legit pizza shop. The slice supports itself, and you can see on the inside the structure is a little bit more sponge-like and less sheeted. So the texture is nice. It has a nice snap. It has a very nice pull to it. That's sort of different than that first pizza where you bite your teeth and it just sinks and cuts straight off. And that's really, I think, what makes pizza good, is all about the texture. And I would say that this one came out probably better than half of the takeout out there, especially because it only cost me maybe $4 to make. Pizza these days is like 30 bucks, and I would rather just have a ribeye. Okay, time for the final dough, guys. This one's been in the fridge for 24. I took it out for 2. Reason being is that first hour is really just getting from the fridge back up to room temp. Second hour, it's kind of getting a little jump kick reboot on that ferment, get a little extra rise out of her. First thing I noticed when I was working this dough is it's just in a league of its own. It's very smooth, almost kind of a little wet, but not sticky at all. I mean, I have like no flowers on my hands. Check me out with this one. It doesn't spring back at all. You can even see in the top right here before I put the sauce on, it's got these little micro bubbles kind of forming on there. Now, if you're worried about these things getting out of control or bubbling your toppings all over the place, you could hit it with a docker. But I kind of like what this does to the final product. You get a little bit of a bubble in between like a cracker thin piece. And overall, I just think it does something for the texture because it pushes up some cheese and that gets a little bit more burnt. It's just part of the whole deal, guys. Wait till you see it on the finished pie. Lat's Pizza came out awesome. Check this thing out. It's got like the most even complexion on the bottom out of all of them. The first one had like extreme leoparding and then kind of mellowed out. This one, the color and the texture and everything is very golden. It's really, it's not like burnt bread. It's more kind of like toasted bread. It's really, really even. Those micro bubbles are still on the inside. Some of them formed on the crust. If you want to take it to the next level, you could brush this with a little bit of olive oil and shove it back in there. You can see that the slice is supporting itself, the cheese isn't sliding off it, the crust is nice and defined. I mean, it's everything you would want in a pizza. And what did it cost you? 26 hours, 26 and a half hours. Guys, the moral of the story is you gotta wait on these things and just practice, man. Get you an oven. I got the link in the description below to that oven. If you're trying to up your pizza game, I would say an oven is the first thing you need because the rest is just water and flour and time, like everything else. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you found this useful. If you're new, like I said before, please subscribe, hit that like button. Let me know in the comments what you want to see. This is a video I made for someone that hit me up in the comments. Well, thanks a lot, guys. See you next time. Peace.